Okay, so I want to keep going with the for loop, and I want to introduce the step command. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Before we do, I want to throw a couple of vocabulary items at you. The first one is iteration. I had used that in the last video. That word means a repetition of the loop. So iteration means a rep of the loop or a repetition. And I mean, like if we were talking in just plain English and I said, oh, let me reiterate that for you. It just means me saying it again or repeating myself. And then also the phrase counter-controlled repetition. That's what we're doing here. This is the technique that we're doing here. In a later video, I'll show you a technique called user-controlled repetition, which is a lot more like open-ended because the user decides how many times the loop is going to go. But in this case, in counter-controlled repetition, the counter variable decides how many times the loop is going to go. So let's take a look at this example. We're going to write a for loop to print even numbers, just even numbers, 2 through 500. So I'm setting the console color to green. I'm going to put a tab in a tab, a variable called, I'm calling it tab. That's ASCII character 9. So that'll be useful to line up our output nicely so it's not just a huge mess of numbers. And then looking at this, we have for counter equals 2 to 500. Okay, we said we wanted even numbers 2 to 500, but the operative word here is even. So I'm two-stepping through this loop. That's a step command. So if you want to two-step through a loop or even step backwards through a loop, as we're going to see in the next example, then you can use the step command. Okay, and then I'm just writing the value of counter. Okay, think about it. Counter is counting off the loop, the number of iterations. And we're starting him at 2. Ending at 500 and saying, okay, you're two-stepping through this loop. So counter, as this loop is running, is going, okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. And every time counter reaches a new value, with every iteration of the loop, we want to print that number, that value. Okay, so the value of counter in this case is exactly what we want to print. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And there they are. Okay. All right, I have another quick example. As long as we're talking about the step command, I want to write a loop to print the lyrics for the song 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. Okay, and this is a countdown song, in case you're not familiar with it. Kind of like an old song that people would sing when they were driving on a long trip or something. And so you start with 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. You take one down, pass it around, 98 bottles of beer on the wall, 98 bottles of beer on the wall, 98 bottles of beer, and so on. And it just goes down, down, down to 0 if anyone ever makes it that far. So what I'll do is I'm going to just set up some variables. I'll put a music note because this is a song. So that's the ASCII code of 14 will get me a music note. And then I'll append a space to it as well. And then the new line is ASCII code 10. So I put that in a variable called new line. So that'll help me make my output a little bit nicer. And okay, so let's think about the loop here. The loop is going backwards. It's a countdown song, right? So we'll do, we're going to go from 99 to 0, stepping -1 through the loop. Okay, and then the lyrics themselves, it's just a long concatenation operation. And, yeah, appending the music characters. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay, so now it whizzed through to the bottom, but there they are. All of those iterations of the song. I think, you know what, I don't see the 99 up at the top because I probably ran out of screen. There's not enough buffer in this console window, so you don't see that. I still have the other loop in here too with the even numbers. You don't see those either. I just ran out of buffer space, and so it didn't save all of that. But it's working okay. I think one thing I don't like, just this will be a quick fix, where it says, at the very end of the song, one I wanted that to say one bottle. That's not proper English. I'd like it to say one bottle, not bottles. So we can do an if statement inside of our loop. This is a nice little review of the if. So we'll say if counter not equal to 1, then we're going to do that. Or else, let me copy that and paste it in. And then I just have to change the lyrics a little bit. One bottle, one bottle. There's probably another one somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So I have my singular bottle of beer. And then I can't forget to end that if statement. Okay, gotta have that bottom piece of bread. Okay, so hopefully that will work. We'll go ahead and run it. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, you know what? I always forget the then because I teach other languages that doesn't use a then. So, yeah, that's just me. All right, so here it is. And look at that, one bottle of beer. The rest of them are plural. So, yeah, there it is, stepping through a loop.